Hello, and welcome to the Adventure Channel, and thank you for choosing my channel. Here we have another video for you to watch, and I hope you enjoy the video currently playing. If you're interested in more videos like this, there are many more videos on the channel to see. And if you like, subscribe and ring the bell, it'll help the channel to grow, as more videos are soon to come.
Welcome to Hawkshead in the Lake District. Hawkshead stands on rising ground overlooking the lush meadows of the Vale of Esthwaite, kept separate from Windermere and Coniston by tree-covered hills. Esthwaite Water is at the head of the shallow valley, fringed by the densely wooded slopes of Griserdale Forest. The road from Ambleside goes through gentle countryside of rolling hills and mixed woodlands, with many a lakeland cottage sitting among cascades of colourful garden. From the south over Hawkshead Moor, the apparently endless Griserdale Forest does recede to give some surprising views over the lake. Esthwaite Water is a pretty tranquil lake, as the appeal seems to increase with the number of people packing into Hawkshead. The monks built Hawkshead Hall to the north of the village, and from there ran an extensive woolen business. Ruin threatened the valley when King Henry VIII dissolved the abbeys, but permission was given for Hawkshead to hold its own markets and fairs, and it grew to be an important trading centre. Road traffic is banned from the village, and instead is directed into a sprawling car park on the outskirts of the village. The visitor has to negotiate a whole street of gift shops before entering the village. Hawkshead is a tightly packed cluster of old white-painted buildings separated by squares, yards, and narrow cobbled streets, many of which are interconnected by a baffling maze of archways and alleys. There are 17th century overhung timber frames, quaint older coaching inns, and solid slate-built Victoriana, all laid out in a gloriously disordered way, long before planning boards sat and squashed any kind of individuality. Before the growth of Windermere, the centre of local affairs was at Hawkshead. In 1790, much civic pride went into the building of the town hall, which dominates the market square. 5 open arch shops known as the Shambleses were occupied on market days by butchers from different parts of the parish. The building was extended to commemorate Queen Victoria's Jubilee, but looks a bit redundant now. A shame for such a grand edifice. All manner of trades were carried on in the yards and outhouses around the square. Only the grocery store and a fine modern bookshop now keeps any kind of commercial life going today. In the sunshine, the buildings are a blinding white background to colourful pot plants and the pretty gardens of a row of cottages. The large police station and courtroom was built in 1883 at the north end of the village, where the road diversion begins. One of the oldest buildings in Hawkshead is the Red Lion Hotel, was given a new front in Victorian times. Nearby is a tiny timber-framed inn called the Queen's Head, referring to that of Elizabeth I, who was on the throne when the inn was built. At one end of the market square, there is the King's Arms Hotel, with a small low-walled garden for resting the feet, whilst having a tipple during sunny lunchtimes. The Minstrel's Gallery, a 15th century building, once the Crown and Mitre Hotel, is in a sub-square nearby. Minstrels and drinkers have long since gone. Now lunches and afternoon teas are served up in the gracious surroundings. The Methodist chapel looks like an ordinary house and was called the Unionist Chapel for a while, so all denominations could worship here. A lane to the left is called Flag Street because of the flagstones that cover a stream still flowing beneath. Householders used to draw water from the stream that was left open in the square. Many of the buildings here have had their corners removed to allow horse-drawn carriages to pass more easily. The original Hawkshead Hall was built to the north of the village for the stewards of Furness Abbey to run their local estates. It was probably quite extensive, with barns and cattle sheds, but all that remains now is the arched gateway with the courthouse above. Rents were received here and wrongdoers tried for their crimes. A gallows stood on a nearby hill. Crudely made of rough stone, the building was restored to its present condition about a century ago. Above the archway is a sandstone niche that held a figure of the Virgin Mary until 1834. While a schoolboy at Hawkshead, Wordsworth lived with a local widow called Anne Tyson. For years, her picturesque cottage in the village was pointed out as young William's lodging house. We now know that when Wordsworth Jr. came to stay, Mrs. Tyson had moved to another cottage about half a mile away in the hamlet of Colthouse. The star attraction in the dusty schoolroom, where up to 100 boys sweated over Latin verbs, is the desk of William Wordsworth, encased in glass. Over the front door, there's a sundial above a tablet tribute to the founder Archbishop. There is also a row of cottages that were once the school gymnasium. This completes the peaceful picture. Lines in his famous poem, The prelude. Describe Esthwaite water as seen while walking to school. A route William could only have taken from Colthouse Anne Tyson's cottage at Hawkshead is now rented out as a holiday home. So fans of the poet can wallow in Wordsworthian myth for a fortnight if they want. Hawkshead plays down the Wordsworth connection. The remarkable grammar school seems almost forgotten amongst the glamorous woolen shops and sheepskin centres. Hawkshead is an architectural gem that can be quite magical at times. The parish church of St. Michael and All Angels dominates the village from its magnificent hilltop position, where an ancient chapel once stood before it was replaced by the present church in the 15th century. The snow-white walls, as described in verse by the schoolboy Wordsworth, have been unpoetic slate grey since 1875, when the rendering was removed. From the inside of the church, there's plenty of interest. The Sandys Chapel was built onto the church by Edward Sandys, who was a locally born cleric, was made Archbishop of York by Queen Elizabeth. He was a generous benefactor to Hawkshead, founding the grammar school by the churchyard in 1585. Just down the road, there's a modern school of glass and bustle, while across the road, another schoolroom from 1873 is currently being used by a preschool playgroup.
Hello again. If you liked the video, please subscribe and ring the bell for more videos to come. And thanks for your time for watching my content.